Hello all, Amy Kosh here of An Unstoppable Life, and thank you for joining me for this evening's guided meditation. I'm really delighted to have all of you here tonight, and I'll also make sure that the recording is available to you afterwards so that if you missed this or for some reason something came up at the last minute and you weren't able to join me, that you'll have a recording that you can use for yourself whenever you like. So to get us started tonight, please find a comfortable seated position. And if you have a question about joining the Zoom, feel free to throw it into the chat. I'll keep an eye on the participants so I can let you in as we go. But please feel free to find yourself a comfortable seat either on the chair or on a seated position on the floor. If you're sitting on the floor, see if you can cross your legs with your left foot closest to your body. So that's a really traditional place and seated position. And if you're used to just sitting with your right foot in, it will also help loosen up your hips. So that'll be great for you. So again, just allowing yourself to settle in and shake off the day. We'll use these first couple minutes just to get settled. So you might find your seat and then move around a little bit. And allow yourself to shrug your shoulders a bit. Shake your wrists out. If you have a watch on, take your watch off. And if you're someplace that while you're sitting for about 45 minutes or an hour, if you're likely to get a little cold, throw a sweater on or a scarf or a blanket or something so that you're not too cold while you're sitting. Some people tend to get very cold when they sit. Other people tend to get very hot. So if you have something close by that you can just grab, if you notice you're getting too cold, that's always good. It's never good to be cold while you're sitting. So I'll just give people another minute or two to join in here, allowing people in. And I'm really glad that you all could join me today. Meditation has been such a huge part of my life over the years, and I've just found it to be such a useful thing to be doing, whether you spend 2 minutes doing it or whether you spend, an hour and a half to 3 hours a day. Some people do. And it just means getting up really early in the morning sometimes. But please feel free that however you are wanting to meditate, that you have an opportunity to do that, and you give yourself the opportunity to do that. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them into the chat. And we'll get started in just a minute. And then again, finding yourself in a comfortable seated position, whether that's on a chair or on your mat. And so noticing if you have found yourself on your mat or in a chair. If you're sitting in a chair, make sure your feet are flat on the floor and allow yourself to sit so that your spine is upright. So however that works for you. And if you want to sit cross-legged on the floor, on a mat, or even on just some pillows if you grab them off the sofa, that's fine. But you want to make sure that your spine is really well supported and that you don't feel like you're having to work in that position to sit. And then again, take just a moment, shake your hands out, shrug your shoulders around, and really allow yourself to settle into your seat. So you want to feel yourself grounded firmly in your seat. So each week for this guided meditation, I'm going to lead a different kind of meditation, and we'll have a little time for discussion at the end. So feel free to know that every week is going to be a little different. And you might love one week and you might be like, that wasn't really for me the next week. So know that as we move along every week, There will be some really different meditation processes that I'll teach you guys. So settle in and we'll get started. So as you allow yourself just to come to a centered place, let the rest of the day go. And allow yourself to take a couple of cleansing breaths. You can have your mouth open, mouth closed, doesn't matter. But shrug off in breath whatever to-do list you might have had. So anything that you didn't get to quite yet, anything that you feel like, oh, I really meant to do that later today, or I have to remember this thing, just set that aside mentally for a moment. You can even imagine putting it in a little box with a bow on it and put it to the side. And know that you can pick that up after the meditation. And then very gently, allow your eyes to close. And we're going to start with just 4 grounding and centering practices. So very simple. And this is a practice you can do. It's 4 breaths long. You can do it anywhere. You don't have to have your eyes closed, but you've got the luxury right now, so take it. All right, so sitting tall, but without much effort. Close your eyes gently and close your mouth if possible. See if you can breathe through your nose for the whole practice tonight. So first take a long, easy inhale and let it out completely. And then a long, easy inhale and notice the height of your body from the top of your head all the way down to the bottom of your feet. Just noticing how much length you take up. And then with the next inhale, notice the width of your body from shoulder to shoulder and also front to back. So noticing your presence in the world. Noticing how much space you take up and how solid your body feels. And then lean back just half an inch maybe, and lean back into your experience and your knowledge and your know-how. So leaning back into your knowledge, your experience, and your know-how. And then allow yourself to notice all of the presence that you have in the world. So again, noticing the full height of your body, noticing the width of your body from shoulder to shoulder and front to back. And then noticing as you lean back and lean into all of your knowledge, all of your know-how. Allow your breath to be very deep and even and easy. Try to notice if you're holding a little bit of the breath at the top or at the bottom. And see if you can let go of that hesitation, either at the top of the inhale or at the bottom of the exhale. So just allowing yourself to ground and center. And as we sit, and as you notice your presence, your physical presence in the world, start to allow your mind to follow your breath. And know that the mind is like a puppy. So often the puppy wanders off and you have to bring it back gently. So if your mind wanders off to some thought, that's normal and fine. And notice it and then bring it back gently to your breath. And again, allow your attention to be focused solely on your breath. So notice how your whole body moves as you inhale and your whole body moves as you exhale. And again, smoothing out your breath. So allowing your breath to really be even. You can even think of it like a circle. So you're breathing this circle of breath. So the inhale goes directly into the exhale, directly into the inhale, and back to the exhale, without any real hesitation. And meditation is about focusing on one thing in particular at one time. So right now, the focus is on the breath. Notice if you can allow your breath to become even more full and round without effort. And you can allow yourself to get a little curious. So without needing to change anything, notice if your inhale is longer or shorter than your exhale. Notice if your inhale is warmer or cooler than your exhale. Again, without needing to change anything. You might notice where your inhale is starting in your body. You might notice it at the tip of your nose, in the back of your throat. You might notice it higher up in your chest or down in the bottom of your lungs. Wherever you notice that inhale starting is fine. And every day it will probably be noticed at a different place. So just notice where it is right now for you. And notice when you exhale, where does that exhale start from? Does it start at the base of your belly, a little below your belly button, or a little bit higher up in your rib cage, or near your heart? Or does it start in your throat, or maybe at the back of your nose? So again, noticing where your exhale begins. And then choose either to notice where your inhale begins or your exhale begins. And again, bring your attention to that focus. So noticing where your inhale is starting in your body, or noticing where your exhale is starting. And we'll take the next few moments in silence, just noticing whatever position of breath you've decided, inhale or exhale. So again, noticing where your inhale is starting in your body, noticing where your exhale is starting. And follow that. Allow your mind just to follow it. Again, notice if your mind wanders off, bring it back gently. No scolding, no need to yell at yourself. Just noticing, oh wow, my mind wandered off. Isn't that interesting? And then back to attending to your breath and where it begins in your body. So I'll time us for the next few minutes and just allow yourself to be really curious about what you notice. What happens when you simply pay attention to where your breath begins or where your exhale begins? And again, if your mind starts to wander a little bit, acknowledge the wander. And then bring your mind back. Notice if your mind wants to switch between the inhale and the exhale. And if it does, make a choice whether you want to focus on the inhale or the exhale. And again, no need to yell at yourself if your mind has decided to move around. That's the nature of minds. So simply noticing, what's the choice you want to make in this moment? Inhale or exhale? And again, notice if your inhale has gotten a little longer or a little shorter than your exhale. Can you bring it back to a little bit more evenness? Allowing your inhale and your exhale to be about the same length without really forcing them. And then again, allowing yourself to notice, where are you noticing your inhale and your exhale? So allowing yourself to slowly come back to your body and back into the space wherever you're sitting right now. And notice what might feel different in your body for you. So notice how your breathing feels now compared to when you sat down roughly 15 minutes ago. Is it tighter or easier to breathe? Is your heart rate faster or slower? So some of these might feel like obvious things to notice, but often we don't spend any time at all noticing the changes in our bodies. And so the more that we pay attention, the more that we notice what's going on, the more that we notice the changes and appreciate the benefits, or as some people like to say, to appreciate the payoff. The more we're able to appreciate the payoff, the more that we can build a habit of meditation. So again, allow yourself a few minutes of appreciation. And if you're not used to sitting, feel free to move around, stretch your legs out, wiggle your feet. Being uncomfortable is not a prerequisite for meditating. So as you are settling into this and noticing, this is what my body feels like. How interesting. So that's something to pay attention to. And then as we continue on, I want to give people a chance to ask any questions you might have. So feel free to just hit one of the reactions or to unmute yourself if you have a question, and we'll take a couple of questions and allow people a little time to move around. If you're not used to sitting, 18 minutes or 15 minutes can feel like a really long time. And if you're not used to sitting and you've done 15 minutes, that's pretty great. So as you change, the one thing that you do want to do is let your legs stretch out a little bit if you find your feet going numb. But when you come back to sit, if you're sitting on a mat with your feet crossed, your ankles are crossed, cross your left foot closer into your body or on the bottom. And if you're sitting in a chair, we're going to do a little bit different foot position for this second meditation tonight. So if you're sitting in a chair, the first meditation position we used was feet flat on the floor and spine erect. So you weren't leaning back on the back of the chair probably. So now switch. If you're sitting in a chair, allow your ankles to cross gently. And again, put your left foot towards the back and cross your right foot. So you're putting your left ankle and then your right foot in front. So your left ankle is going to be tucked a little bit more underneath the chair. So you don't want to tuck them under too much, but you do want to cross your ankles lightly. And then allow yourself to be fully supported by the back of the chair, unless it's a lounger, in which case you might want to prop yourself up with some pillows. But if you're sitting in a regular chair, like a dining chair, cross your ankles lightly, left foot and then right foot in front, and then allow your body to relax against the back of the chair so that you feel really supported. So we're going to do the second meditation tonight is similar to the breath piece that we just did, but it's also about letting go of things that we don't need right now. So as you're sitting, allow your hands to gently fall, palms up onto your legs. And keep your elbows bent softly so that you notice there's no tension in your arms or your shoulders. You can bring your elbows back close to your body, shrug your shoulders around a little, and let them fall where they naturally want to fall. And then again, rest your palms very gently, palms up on your legs, no matter how you're sitting or whether you're sitting on the ground or in a chair. Close your eyes gently and send your chin back just about 1/4 of an inch. And you'll notice, if you stick your chin really far forward, you'll notice a tightness in your neck. So again, bring your chin back very gently, not rigid, but just enough so it feels like your whole neck has lengthened and relaxed. One of the benefits to this head position is that it starts to open the front of your chest up so you can breathe more easily, and it opens your throat. And when we breathe more easily, we are able to kick in the parasympathetic nervous system, and it actually triggers our body to relax a little more. So again, if you notice you're leaning forward a little, let yourself be fully supported by the chair and send your chin back just a little bit, maybe 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. And then make sure that your chin isn't pointing up towards the ceiling and it's not pointing down toward the ground. So you might want to lift it up and drop it down a couple times and find that neutral position where it feels like it doesn't take any effort to hold your head there. Close your eyes gently. And again, first, bring your focus to your breath, just noticing your breath. You could imagine following the breath with your mind. So we'll take 3 breaths, simply following the breath. And again, no need to change it. No need to do anything except follow it. However it's showing up right now is just fine. And then I want you to imagine that in your right hand, you're going to inhale all the things that will support you right now. So you might inhale joy. You might inhale calm. You might inhale ice cream. You might inhale a sense of peace. You might inhale a better sense of organization. You might inhale relaxation. So allow yourself to imagine inhaling anything, whether it's an object or an idea or a feeling. But imagine it filling up your right hand. And you might notice that as you do this practice, your right hand starts to feel a little heavier. Our imaginations are really good at triggering somatic or body expressions. So allow your hand to feel like, oh, it's getting a little heavier as I fill it with all these things that will support me. Allow your breath to deepen. And continue to breathe in anything at all that your imagination comes up with that would really support you over the next couple days. Notice if you've leaned forward slightly, and allow yourself to lean back. We often lean forward when we're anticipating something, or if there's a little excitement. So allowing ourselves to lean back slightly and be fully supported by the chair or by the mat you're sitting on, maybe even leaning against a wall if you have one near you. And notice how that changes the quality of your breath and the experience of breathing in all the things that will support you. And again, breathe in anything at all. It might be a thing, it might be something that doing it would help, like creating a schedule or making a list. Don't make the list right now, though. Just imagine that you've got the list in your hand. It might be an emotion like bliss or joy, or if you really want to go for it, ecstasy. Right? It might be calm or love or support. And now take your right hand up as though you're holding it as a cup of all of these amazing things. And you're going to send it right into your heart. So bringing your hand right to your heart. And imagine all of those wonderful, supportive things spilling right into your heart. And as you breathe, you're breathing all of those in. And imagine them filling up the space around your heart with a golden light. So breathing in all of the things that you really know will support you for the next week. And as you breathe them in, imagine that golden light becoming even brighter, more sparkly. And imagine that golden light spreading out through your entire body. Imagine it moving all the way to the tip of your nose, the top of your head, all the way down your arms to the tips of your fingers, and all the way through your body, all the way down your legs to the tips of your toes. Notice if your temperature has just gotten a little warmer too, if you were a little cold. As you breathe in this golden light, and as you imagine it getting brighter and brighter, and really filling every nook and cranny of your whole body, notice what happens to your own breathing and your temperature. And then allow your imagination to help you. And imagine this golden light moving outside of the boundaries of your physical body. So imagine it like this amazing, beautiful, warm gold light. And it's extending out 4 inches from your body in all directions. Notice if there is a part of your body that feels like there's more light there. You might notice that you've created this idea of more light around your head or your hands. Or you might notice more light around your heart area or your feet. And if that's so, that's perfectly fine. So allow the rest of the light to extend and brighten to match whatever the brightest area is for you right now. And rather than feel like you're pushing the light, imagine it's just growing. You could envision the way cotton candy grows on a cotton candy cone. You know, you kind of collect it around the bin and it just gets bigger and bigger and fluffier, but there's not actually anything there. There's no there, right? So imagine that this golden light is spreading outward from you, much like cotton candy collects around a cone. And it's getting bigger, so more than 4 inches. So go for maybe a foot. And you might notice that it's taking on a particular shape the further out you extend it from your body. So notice, what's that shape? There's no right shape, and there's no wrong shape. But notice for you, what's the shape that this golden light takes if I send it a foot or two out from my physical body? So in yoga, we call this the etheric body. And whatever shape it's taking right now, notice, are there some areas where it feels like it's still kind of sticking in towards your physical body? So imagine blowing gently some breath into that area, as though you're blowing it up like a very gentle balloon. Can you even out the shape of this golden light? So if you notice it's a little flatter over the top of your head, imagine breathing up into that just to gently expand it so that it's about 2 feet from your body in all directions, even under your feet. And now imagine every exhale brightening that light. So not so bright that you can't see, but bright enough that it feels warmer and alive. And notice that it started with your heart, and that you are breathing out heart light into this golden light. Notice how your whole body feels as you breathe this light even further out. And again, breathing it out in all directions evenly. So notice if there's an area that feels just a little sticky. Can you bring your attention and your breath and imagine breathing that particular area out just a little more? Notice if there's any area of tension or tightness in your muscles. Does that correspond with an area where the golden light feels like it's in a little closer? So can you consciously relax that area of your body so that you allow that light to flow even further away from the physical body? So you might imagine that you've breathed that golden light 5 feet out or 10 feet out. And again, allow it to be 10 feet out from the bottom of your feet as well. So imagine it permeating the earth. And imagine it going in all directions for 5 or 10 or 20 feet. And again, notice if there are areas of tension or tightness in your physical body. Allow your breath to open some of those areas. So you could imagine breathing some of that golden light into those areas of tightness or tension. And notice if the light around your heart has shifted in color or quality. You may notice that it's gotten more sparkly or a deeper golden color. And just noticing that shift. It's not right, it's not wrong. It's just who you are and where you are right now. So as you breathe within this golden light that you have created all around you and throughout your body, bring to mind one thing that you can do this evening that will help support you. Maybe it's one of the things that you breathed in at the beginning of this meditation. And make it something simple, something small. It might be to go start a book that you've been wanting to start, or write a letter, or email or call a friend. Or it might be creating a new schedule for yourself. Something that doesn't feel like pressure, but feels really supportive. Might be taking a bubble bath. It might be either cooking dinner with one of your friends or family members who's with you, or cooking for yourself something that you've been thinking, oh, I'd really like that. I have that in the freezer, or I have that in my fridge. It might just be opening that bar of chocolate you've been stashing away. Whatever it is, make it something really simple, really easy, and something that truly feels supportive to you tonight. So allowing that golden light around you to slowly dissipate. Imagine it meeting the air and almost like evaporating into the blue sky or the evening, wherever you are. And as you bring your focus intentionally back to your physical body, paying attention to, again, how do you feel now versus how did you feel when we started this practice? And just noticing the differences. So noticing any changes. And again, this is a practice that you can do every evening. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for 20 minutes. You can do it for an hour. But it's really about allowing yourself to notice, what do I need right now? What would support me for the next week? What would support me for the next 24 hours? Without feeling like you have to do anything right this minute. Because we don't. All we have to do right now is breathe. So there's nothing else that needs to happen, but to acknowledge there are things that would be really supportive. And to start to pay attention to what those things are. Often we really forget to do that. So we often have lists that we make at the beginning of the day. I have to get these things done. I need to make sure to do X, Y, and Z, or call these people, or go to these meetings, or get these projects done. But very often what we haven't paid attention to is, what would support me so I could really do those things? So it might be something as simple as before you sit down to start your day, whether you're starting it at a place of work these days, or whether you're working from home. Sit down for just a couple minutes and make the list of the things that you really need to get done today. But then make a list of at least 3 things that would support you while you're doing those things. So it might be taking a 5-minute break in between contexts or projects, or getting up and stretching at lunch, or going for a walk outside for 20 minutes or a half an hour. Or making sure that when you get home at the end of the day, you take some time to really create a break or a separation for yourself from the work day and the home day. And when I say getting home from work, it might be going into the other room if you're working from home these days. So really starting to pay attention to what happens in our body when we notice, what is it I really need support around? So I want to give anyone a chance to ask. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or throw them in the chat. And if you have a question, I'd love to hear it. If there's something that you noticed during the meditation, I'd love also to hear that, or if you have any questions about either of the two practices we've done so far tonight. I really want to make sure that this forum every week is a place where people can ask questions, and notice that if you've just started meditating or if you've been doing it for 30 or 40 years, every time you sit down on the mat, it's different. And every time we sit, whether we're sitting in a chair or sitting in a sofa or sitting on the floor or on a mat, but every time we sit, we are literally a new person. So every day we wake up, we're a new person. We often forget that because, you look in the mirror, kind of looks like the same person, right? Your hair might be different one morning. You might have a beard one morning if you're, or you might feel like, oh, I really got a lot of sleep. I look great. Or, oh, wow, I didn't get a lot of sleep at all. I can't believe, how under my eyes look, whatever. But no matter how we look physically, we really are a different person every single day. The experiences that we've had are only up until this point in time. And those experiences are the things that we gather together. And in gathering them, we accumulate them. And that accumulation becomes a part of us. So everything in our past becomes this marvelous accumulation of experiences and knowledge and wisdom. But it also becomes an accumulation of ideas and thoughts. And sometimes those ideas and thoughts can seem like, wow, that's a real thing, like beliefs. But they're really just thoughts. And they're thoughts that we've thought them so often that we now stop thinking that we thought them. We think that they're facts or they're true, right? We think that we're supposed to think them. Oh, it's amazing the mind games that our minds play, right? So every time you sit down to meditate, however you're sitting, or if you're doing walking meditation, take a moment or two just to pay attention to the fact that you are a completely different person today. You're a completely different person right now than you were when you started meditating 45 minutes ago. And the difference is that it's all in how we are thinking about ourselves. So again, if you have any questions or anything's unclear, or you noticed your mind wandering left and right and center during the two practices we did tonight, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to unmute yourself or throw it into the chat if you just have a question and you can't talk wherever you are. Often when we sit in meditation, it brings up a lot of, oh, I should have been able to do this, or oh, my mind wandered off, I'm never going to try this again, this is really, really hard. And so the first few times you sit, part of the practice of learning to meditate is to really let go of the should, right? There's no should. So sometimes, I've been meditating for about 26 years now. And there are days when I sit and man, I can't get my brain to settle down at all. It's my whole mind. My mind is just like once and over and one thing after the other, and then inevitably the phone rings, right? And I think, oh, I should go get that. No, wait, I'm sitting, I shouldn't go get it. So all of that wandering of the mind, right? Our puppy mind, as Jack Kornfield likes to call it, that's normal. And part of it's normal because just like learning to tie our shoes, we have to learn how to settle our minds and to focus on one thing at a time. So as you're starting out as a meditating practitioner, right? So it's practice, it's always practice. It's 26 years of practice. I think Pema Chodron, who's this amazing Buddhist monk, she's just delightful. And she always talked about, she had been meditating for a very long time. And she said there are days when she sat and her mind just right off the map. And it's allowing that to happen and knowing that meditating isn't about shutting your mind off. It's about allowing the wandering to happen and still not get distracted. So our minds are really cool because we can focus on one thing at a time. And the mind wanders. But wandering means we're not focusing. So just bring it back to whatever the point of focus is. So in tonight's practice, we started by focusing on the physical body, right? Noticing the quality of our inhale and exhale and smoothing it out, making it really even. And by focusing on that, we gave our minds a point of focus. For the second meditation, what we did was we imagined and focused on breathing in all the things, the emotions, the support, the items, the aspects, whatever would support us for the next week. And then we focused on breathing that into our hearts. And then we focused on expanding that golden light from the heart outward to the rest of the world. So again, we gave our minds one thing to focus on. And the practice is just to allow your mind that when it wanders off, you say, hey, come on back, very gently. Not, hey, get back here. I'm supposed to be meditating right now, because who likes to be yelled at? Right? But gently bring your mind back. Remind it, oh, right now we're focusing on this. And as we practice this, it gets easier and easier to do. And still, again, after 26 years, my mind goes jogging off sometimes. There are other times that I sit and I'll sit for 2 hours and I think, wow, that felt like 15 minutes. I don't know how that happened. But it's really around practicing sitting. It's also about letting your body get used to being still. You know, a lot of people, often we talk, and feel free to move around if you're feeling like, oh, I really got to move right now. Totally. Right? So let your body stretch out, stretch your feet out, shake your hands out, shake your feet out. If you've been sitting though, please don't stand up just yet. You want to give your legs a little time to get blood flow back gently. And that will also help if you have varicose veins. You don't want to stand right up right after sitting for so long. So part of the practice of meditating is calming the mind. It's not shutting the mind off, right? Just like you don't want to shut your heart off, you don't want to shut your liver off. You want to allow your mind to settle and know that you want it to actually keep working, because that's how we focus. But you want it to be very settled and calm, and for it not to have run off with your thoughts. So again, focusing on one thing. And as you focus on one thing and as you practice that, your mind will settle down and calm. You also have to deal with the physical body. So again, if you're not used to sitting, and you're not, whether it's in a chair or whether it's on a mat, if you're not used to sitting, there's a point where your feet will go numb, or your lower back will hurt, or your muscles are going to get so tense, or everything starts to cramp, and you think, oh my gosh, I can't possibly do this for one more minute. So one of the keys is breathe at least twice before you move. So what you're starting to do is you're starting to train your body to be still, again, without yelling at it. So let's say your leg cramps, right? Because you're not used to sitting cross-legged. Or your foot goes numb and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so painful. I really need to move my foot. So there's the thought, right? So again, take 2 long inhales, 2 long exhales, and then move the smallest possible movement as slowly as you possibly can. If you do that, what you're doing is you're starting to take control over the reaction of your body. And you're allowing your body to move enough to ease the blood flow or ease the cramp. But because you're doing it really slowly and really intentionally, you're also staying within a meditative mind. So meditative mind, again, it's not about not having a thought. It's about not being driven by your thoughts and not being reactive. So if I'm meditating and I notice that my knee has gone to sleep or my leg is cramping, I'm like, oh, I really got to move it. Rather than, hauling it up and sticking it out and moving it, what you want to do again is take 2 or 3 really slow breaths and then very slowly make the smallest movement possible. And make it as slowly as possible. So what you're doing is kind of 2 parts. You're training your body that it can sit, but again, in the beginning, it really does take some practice because your body's probably not used to sitting this way, especially not for an hour. And you're also training your body not to be the reactive force that moves your mind. So you want to be in control of your emotions. You want to be in control of your body. And by staying in control of all of that, it also means that external events aren't going to start to affect you as much. So the more that you sit in meditation and the more often you practice it, the less reactive you become to the external world. And that's a huge benefit. So if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them into the chat. And we'll start to wrap up. So as a wrap up, I'd love to give everyone a couple of great stretches, because especially if you're not used to sitting this long, you've done a marvelous, marvelous job. So stretch your feet out, whether you're sitting in a chair or you're sitting on the floor, stretch your feet out very, very, very slowly. And allow your legs to be straight out in front of you. If you're sitting in a chair, allow your feet to rest on the floor, but straighten your legs out. So you might want to slide to the front of your chair. And then send your feet forward and backward like this, a whole bunch. And you can do it slowly to start, and then maybe a little faster. And then wiggle your toes around. And if you're sitting on the floor or the mat, you can also wiggle your hips around a little. And then bring your feet in and out like this. So you're toes in, toes out, toes in, toes out towards the center, which will also help open your hip muscles. Shrug your shoulders around a bunch and get really messy with the shrugging, right? So all kinds of crazy directions. And then shake your hands out. And then allow yourself just to sit however is most comfortable and relaxed for you right now. And we're going to loosen the neck up a little bit too for just a couple minutes. So if you're wearing glasses, take your glasses off because it's easier that way. And then what you want to do is close your eyes, and you're going to drop your chin to your chest, exhaling, and then allow your chin to come back up to center. Drop your chin to your chest, exhale. Allow your chin to come back up to center. One more time, exhaling, drop chin to chest. Inhale, back up to center. And then for the next part, I just want you guys to look and see, when you raise your chin, you want to raise your chin as though you're trying to touch the ceiling with your nose. So you want to be able to breathe normally as you raise your chin up. So point your nose towards the ceiling on an inhale. Exhale, chin to center. Inhale, nose to ceiling. Exhale, chin to center. Inhale, nose to ceiling. Really reach for the ceiling with your nose. Exhale, chin to center. One of the reasons that you want to make sure not to drop your head back is if you drop your head back, you can't breathe and you can't talk. And that's not great for your neck. Okay, two sides now. So again, keep your chin level and send your chin back about 1/2 an inch so that you're really lengthening your neck. And then gently look all the way to the right. Inhale to center. All the way to the left. Exhale. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Notice if your shoulders are coming forward as you inhale or exhale. And see if you can keep your shoulders right where they are. One last time, exhale, left. Inhale, center. And now some very gentle neck rolls. So again, as you're doing the circular neck rolls, make sure that when you move towards the back, that you're really keeping the length in the back of your neck. So as you move backwards, you're going to keep your nose aimed towards the ceiling. So drop your chin to your chest. Inhale, right ear, right shoulder. Exhale all the way up to center. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. Chin to chest. And then opposite direction. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. Exhale, nose to ceiling. Inhale, right ear, right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. One more time, right ear to right shoulder. Again, let your shoulders move towards the back of your body. Exhale, chin to ceiling. Inhale, left ear, left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. And then bring your head back up. Shake everything out very gently. Just move around a little bit. And I want to thank you so much for joining me on the first of these guided meditations. I'll be doing this weekly. You can find me on Instagram at AmyKosh1. You can also find me on Facebook at An Unstoppable Life or Amy Kosh. And if you have any questions about meditation or any of the practices that we've done, or you would like to help build a practice of your own and you don't want to wait for next week, feel free to shoot me an email. You can find me at hello@anunstoppablelife.com or head over to my website, anunstoppablelife.com. There's some information on the blogs there about meditating, or you can always hit me up with an email from the site. So I really appreciate you all being here tonight. Thank you so much for this inaugural. And I will be posting the Zoom so that you'll have a link through the email to access the recording. And I hope you enjoyed this. Please, if you found it useful, let me know. Throw some comments my way. And if you have a particular issue that's coming up or something that you'd really like to be able to work on in terms of, hey, this thing came up for me, I'd really like to do a meditation around it, shoot me a quick email or Facebook Messenger me or Slack me if you're on our Slack channel. And I'd love to be happy. I'm happy to build a practice around that for one of the weeks. We've got 12 weeks I'll be doing this. And I'd love to make it really personal for all of you who are showing up. So thank you again, and I'll see you next week.